Welcome back to AM Northwest, and here now to help us handle the difficult people in our lives, we welcome back the author of Human Lie Detection and Body Language 101, Vanessa Van Edwards. We love your segments, Vanessa. They're always so much fun and very interesting.
Today's going to be a sticky one. We're talking about difficult people.
And how to deal with them. But first you say you have to identify there are 4 types.
Yes.
You've got them in 4 types.
Yes. So when you think about that person in your life, and usually people have someone they're like, oh, I know the difficult person.
Right.
The first step is to identify which type do they fall into. There's 4 main types of difficult people. And by the way, on our worst day, we all fall into one of these types,
gotcha.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So one might sound familiar. So the first one is downers. So negative Nancy's, Debbie Downers, they complain, they come into the room and it's like the energy just drops out of the room.
Absolutely, yeah.
They complain a lot, that kind of bucket.
Right.
The second bucket is better thans. So these are show-offs, people who name drop. I always say they one-up. So it's someone, you know, like...
You have a story, you went to Italy and blah, 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 and then someone said,
well,
I
went to Italy even longer, and it was even better, right? So they always, like, if you have something good, they have something better. If you have something big, they have something bigger.
Right.
One up. They name drop things. When people feel low confidence, this is what they do to make themselves feel better, so they feel like they have to be better than.
Right.
Okay, so the third type are passives. So this happens typically when people are so low confident that they don't have a voice. So they don't make decisions, right? You ask them, so what do you want to do? Whatever you want. Right. They can be a little difficult in conversation. You ask them a question, they have a one-word answer. Right. They don't ask you anything back. They're very passive. And it's usually because they're afraid. They don't think they're worth it. Right. The fourth difficult type of person is downers, passives, uppers, and tanks. Yeah. So tanks are the ones where they can get really angry, kind of explosive. They can be called bossy, which I think is a banned word these days. We're not supposed to use bossy. Yeah, we're not supposed to use bossy. So they kind of come in and they want to be a control freak. They're like, I want to take control of the situation. So they can be very emotional. That's the cue you want to watch out for. So once you identify the type of person that you're dealing with, the second step, and this is the biggest mistake, is you can't try to fix them. Right. Right. You have to adjust to them, don't you? Right. You have to adjust to them. The problem is if you try to tell a tank to calm down, they usually freak out even more. Right. If you tell a passive to speak up, that makes them even more shy. Right. So if you try to fix them, that usually makes them even more uncomfortable. Sure. So the better thing to do is step 3, and that's to try to understand them. Okay. So if you can shift the mindset from, I don't want to fix them or change them, I want to understand where they're coming from. I call this finding their value language. So everyone has a value language. This is something that it drives their actions. It's what they hold most dear. So it could be knowledge. They want to know everything. Or it could be money, that they want huge amounts of financial success. Do they all have the same kind of language? I mean, does the tank always have the same kind of language? So typically, like better thans are know-it-alls. Okay. Typically that goes along, but not always. Typically passives, usually they want to be in control of their relationships. Okay. So like to know the people in the room. So figure out, and you can do this by asking really open-ended questions, to figure out what is driving them. That will usually calm them down. Well, give me an example of a question I would ask a tank, say. Sure. So let's say that you have a tank and you can see that they're kind of in control mode. Like they're walking around, they're trying to control everything. You can say, so tell me what's been going on for you. Or instead of asking like, how are you doing, or how's work, you can say, so are there any issues that are bothering you, or what personal passion projects are you working on? Okay. Those kind of deeper questions can usually get them out of that overbearing mode and into discussion with you. And that leads you perfectly into the fourth. So you've identified the type, you've said you're not going to fix them, you are trying to understand them. The last one is to make sure they're not toxic to you. Oh, good point. Right. So this is all about you now. So making sure you have boundaries set on time limits. Because the downer can really bring you down. It just sucks the energy out of it. So you go, okay, you know what? I can't bring that downer friend to a party. Or if I have a party, I can only talk to them in limited doses. Right. Or there are safe topics. So for tanks, you might have someone who, when they get around a certain topic, they get really upset. You know that is a no-go topic for them. So don't talk to a tank about politics. Right, exactly. Or if it's family members. So if you have people that they're difficult, but you have to spend time around them, that you're only spending time with them on their best days. So you know that, you know what, they're not good in social situations. They're much better one-on-one. Right. We're better off going to a meal or going to coffee. So setting up limits, either on time or topics, so that they don't become toxic to you, and that makes it a lot more manageable.
Do you
for
also
them.
have to watch not getting caught up in their, getting caught up in their drama?
Yeah, so what's interesting is there's something it's called chameleonization, right? So we become like the person we're with.
Right.
And so with difficult people, you have to be so careful that when you're with that Debbie Downer, you don't also get into that critical, gossipy, complaining mode.
And it's easy to do.
Oh, it's so, because we want to be congenial.
Right.
And so we're like, oh, if we're angry like them, like a tank,
Right.
or if we're really quiet and a passive, but actually that makes them feel even worse because you're both getting into this really bad area. If you can just go into understanding mode, they actually will come out of their shell and they go into their best self.
And the passive the same way, if you can do that with
Passive the same way, because most people try to fix passives. Like one of my good friends, she's just very, very shy. And so people always tell her, speak up.
Oh, yeah.
And that makes her even more shy. So if you ask really specific, directed questions about what kind of personal passion projects she's working on, get her talking about things she's excited about,
Yeah.
then she's like, and she can relax and she becomes more active.
Yeah. Wow, really interesting stuff, Vanessa. Thank you very much. Again, your book is titled The Human Lie Detector, Body Language 101. Thank you so much. Always good to chat with you.